You've been lied to, not just by society, not just by love songs and romantic comedies, but by your own instincts. You were raised to believe women are gentle, nurturing, selfless creatures, that their love is pure, their intentions noble, their hearts uncorrupted by the darker impulses that haunt men. But Carl Jung, the man who mapped the darkest corners of the human soul, discovered something far more unsettling. Beneath the surface of every woman lies a force so primal, so ruthlessly calculating, that most men never see it until it's too late. By the end of this, you'll gain what schools, therapists, and modern culture deny you: the ability to predict female behavior, shield yourself from emotional warfare, and reclaim the power you've lost to a game you never knew you were playing. This isn't misogyny. It's survival. Think back. Have you ever met a woman who seemed perfect, kind, devoted, achingly vulnerable, only to watch her transform into someone cold, indifferent, even cruel when you needed her most? That wasn't a coincidence. That wasn't just how people are. That was Jung's shadow at work, the hidden self she spent a lifetime disguising, even from herself. You felt it. The whiplash of a woman who adored you one day and discarded you the next. The way she rewrote history, painting you as the villain for sins you never committed. The tears that seemed genuine in the moment, but, in hindsight, were just another move in a game you didn't know you were playing. Jung saw this pattern a century ago. In his private notes, he wrote, "The feminine persona is a masterpiece of deception, not because women are liars, but because nature demands it." Here's the first brutal truth. Women don't choose to deceive. They're designed to. While men evolved to conquer, to build, to fight, women evolved to survive. And survival, for them, has always depended on their ability to navigate male psychology. That's why a woman's love is never unconditional. It's a transaction, a negotiation, a biological contract where your utility determines your worth. Jung called this the anima trap, the male tendency to project his own longing onto a woman, mistaking her performance of vulnerability for depth. And that's where the horror sets in. Because the woman you loved wasn't real. She was a mirror, reflecting back whatever version of herself would keep you invested. When you were strong, she was devoted. When you showed weakness, she recoiled. When you failed to meet her unconscious demands, she punished you, not with anger, but with withdrawal, with indifference, with the silent treatment that left you begging for scraps of the affection she once lavished on you. But this is just the surface. What comes next is even darker. Because Jung didn't just expose the illusion, he uncovered the purpose behind it. And when you understand why women do this, you'll never look at love the same way again. Let me ask you a question that will cut deeper than you expect. Have you ever truly been loved for who you are? Or have you only been valued for what you provide? Your stability, your resources, your ability to shield her from life's harshest truths. Jung's private writings reveal a chilling pattern. Women do not love, they negotiate. Think back. The moment you lost your job, did she stay? Or did her respect for you fade? When you showed emotional vulnerability, did she cherish it? Or did she subtly pull away? This isn't cruelty, it's instinct. For thousands of years, women who prioritized survival over sentiment outlived those who didn't. And that Darwinian truth still governs female attraction today. You felt this contract in every relationship, even if you couldn't name it. The way her eyes lit up when you succeeded and dimmed when you failed. The way her love seemed tied to your utility. Jung called this the maternal bargain, a woman's unconscious ability to assess a man's genetic and social value, then adjust her loyalty accordingly. Here's the brutal part. She doesn't even know she's doing it. Just as you don't consciously choose to be aroused by youth and fertility, she doesn't choose to resent weakness. It's encoded, programmed. And when you understand this, every confusing breakup, every sudden loss of attraction, every "I just don't feel the same anymore" finally makes sense. Jung's most controversial notes describe women as unconscious predators, not because they're evil, but because their survival depends on their ability to evaluate, extract, and exit. Modern culture calls this toxic, but nature calls it necessary. She falls for your potential, then punishes you for not fulfilling it. She craves your strength, then tests it by creating chaos. She demands vulnerability, then loses attraction the moment you show it. This isn't hypocrisy. It's hypergamy, the drive to secure the best possible mate, even at the cost of emotional whiplash. But here's what no one tells you. Women hate this truth more than you do. Because the next layer, the one buried deepest in Jung's secret research, exposes the one thing a woman fears more than being alone: being seen. There's a moment in every man's life when the illusion shatters. You see the script she's been following, the one she didn't even know was in her hands. Carl Jung called this the shadow war, the invisible battle between who a woman pretends to be and what she actually is. And here's the terrifying part. She's losing the fight too. Think of the most manipulative woman you've ever known. Was she twirling a mustache, cackling as she plotted your downfall? Of course not. The most dangerous women believe their own lies. When she says, "I just want honesty," while punishing you for it. When she claims, "I'm not angry," while making you suffer for it. That's not malice. That's instinct. Jung found that women control men not through force, but through emotional alchemy, turning your own virtues against you. You've lived this. The more responsible you became, the more irresponsible she acted. The more emotional support you offered, the more crises she created. The harder you worked to make her happy, the more miserable she made you. Jung's notes describe this as the martyr's trap. A woman's shadow needs chaos to feel alive. So if you're stable, she'll destabilize you. If you're confident, she'll test you. Not because she wants to hurt you, but because her unconscious demands proof you can survive her darkness. Here's the truth that will make your skin crawl. The sweeter the woman, the deadlier the shadow. Jung's clinical files overflow with perfect wives who secretly sabotage their husbands, not with affairs or insults, but with strategic helplessness. The migraine that always struck when he needed courage, the depression that mysteriously vanished when he stopped paying attention. These aren't conspiracies. They're survival mechanisms older than civilization. When a woman says, "I don't know why I'm like this," believe her. She doesn't. Her shadow acts through her, just as your hunger for her acts through you. But this war isn't hopeless, because Jung discovered something worse than the shadow, the weapon to defeat it. And when you learn how to wield it, you'll never fear female nature again. This final truth changes everything. For the last 9 minutes, I've torn apart every comforting lie you've ever believed about women. Now, we rebuild. Because Carl Jung didn't expose female nature to leave men broken. He did it to make us dangerous. Not cruel, not bitter. Dangerous in the way a lion is dangerous to wolves. Dangerous in the way truth is dangerous to lies. Here's the ultimate revelation from Jung's secret diaries. A man who understands female nature cannot be controlled by it. Here is the first law: become her mirror. Women don't change for lectures, they change for consequences. Jung's breakthrough was realizing that a woman's shadow only respects what it cannot manipulate. When she creates chaos, become still. When she plays victim, become indifferent. When she tests you, become unreachable. Not as punishment, as physics. Just as light bends around a black hole, female nature bends around unshakable male resolve. Here is the second law: outsource nothing. Your grandfathers knew this truth instinctively. Never let a woman be your therapist, your purpose, or your moral compass. Jung proved why. The moment you outsource your emotional oxygen to a woman, she must suffocate you to survive. This is why modern men are slaves. They beg for sex instead of commanding attraction. They seek permission instead of imposing standards. They negotiate desire instead of inspiring obsession. The solution? Develop a soul so rich that female attention becomes optional. Here is the final law. Weaponize your shadow. Jung's most forbidden teaching. A man's power comes not from avoiding darkness, but from wielding it. That rage you suppress, channel it into discipline. That lust you deny, transform it into creative force. That fear of being alone, burn it into self-sufficiency. Women don't fear nice men. They fear integrated men. Men whose shadows are allies rather than enemies. For centuries, this knowledge was reserved for kings, warriors, and the occasional rogue philosopher. Now it's yours. The question isn't whether you'll use it, but how soon. Because the world needs dangerous men now more than ever. Not cruel men, not violent men. Men who cannot be controlled. You've seen the truth. The only thing left? To live it.